Welcome to the latest edition of Business Spotlight podcast. I'm joined today by Lucy Tarrant, and Lucy is the Managing Director of Cognitive Law. So welcome to the call, Lucy. It's nice to see you.
Thank you very much, Gavin. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I'm really looking forward to this chat. So tell us a little bit about Cognitive Law, what it is that you do and when it was founded.
So Cognitive Law is a full-service law firm. It was set up in 2014 by myself and my former business partner. My personal specialism is providing commercial legal advice to recruitment companies, but the rest of the firm is populated with self-employed consultants who service many other areas of the law.
So that's the first point that's kind of jumped out at me, that it's self-employed consultants, and that feels very different to how a standard law firm may operate. So let's go there first and say, what's your motivation to be doing things differently, and then why are you using self-employed people?
Okay, so the ethos behind the firm when it was set up was on the basis that traditional private legal practice can be quite restricting. It typically, and this is pre-pandemic, bear in mind, so it typically expects its solicitors to be in the office 8-10 hours a day, deliver X amount of chargeable time per day, per week, per month, per year, and so you go on a sort of rolling basis with very little scope for flexibility. And when I was in that sort of role, I was a single mum who was struggling to cope with the demands of being a mum and with the demands of the job. And I felt that there had to be another way of working. And for me, that was having a flexibility that allowed me to work from home or not start until 10 or work on a weekend. And that doesn't fit the model of a lot of traditional law firms. So they say that necessity is the mother of invention, and that very much goes for cognitive law. That was why it was set up. And the reason we have self-employed solicitors is so that they can be wholly flexible. They literally have no hours that they have to keep, no chargeable hours target. They are so flexible, they just work when, where and how they want.
So what's interesting about that is you set the business up to suit your needs, but then you extended that idea further. I mean, one could argue that, you know, as the owner, it could have still suited your needs to bring in people on a fairly conventional basis, but you're looking for flexibility. So how does that work with your clients? How do you market that to your clients, or how do you position that with them?
Clients like it because they get 360-degree service from a partner level solicitor. So we only attract solicitors as consultants who are partner level, someone 8 to 10 years post qualifying, etc., so that they have the wherewithal and the knowledge to stand on their own 2 feet. And those solicitors attract their clients because that is the only person that's going to be working on your matter. It's not going to be delegated. It's not going to be given to a secretary or a non-qualified fee earner. If you, Gavin, instruct me, Lucy is what you get. Every time you phone, every time you email, whether that's on a weekend or in the evening, by arrangement, but I am your solicitor.
It's really interesting. Do you see yourself and what you do as an outlier to the sort of the main industry, or are there increasingly other sort of organisations like yourself that are breaking the mold, the convention, with law?
Sorry, I'm talking over you there. If you'd asked me that question 10 years ago, I would have said, oh yes, we're a complete challenger, we're a disruptor to the industry, not many of us out there. But now it's becoming an increasingly attractive model as the world has caught on, particularly post-COVID, that perhaps we can work another way.
So I've had experience of working with law firms, and I don't know if any of them are going to see this, but I enjoyed working with them. But one of the things that I did find is it's very difficult to kind of break away from sort of years of tradition and the way things are done. You know, the multiple, bringing in a multiple of your earnings as a fee earner and those sorts of things, and also the kind of company that they keep, networking, etc., etc. do you feel, I know this is a bit of a closed question actually, but to what extent do you feel that the others need to catch up with you fairly quickly? That's actually, you hinted through the COVID and the pandemic that the way that people do business needs to change. And one of the things that I was made aware of at the beginning of the pandemic is that I think what it actually did is accelerate change that was already in the system. However, lawyers and accountants, they could be quite slow on the change. So I guess the question I'm asking you is, are other people taking notice of what you do from the law side of things?
Yes and no is the quick answer to that. Yes, there are many firms out there that are trying to emulate the model with varying degrees of success. It's very hard to be part traditional, part consultancy. The two models don't tend to sit so well together under one roof because there is limited understanding on part of the employed solicitors as to why a self-employed solicitor can swan around and do what they want. They don't appreciate it's a different self-employed, hunt, kill, eat model. So firms that I see trying to emulate the model within the traditional model don't fare so well. I think, however, that they have at least adapted. I wouldn't have said that they have transformed. They have adapted and realised that home working and flexible working and agile working is possible. But they haven't completely caught up. And that's fine by me, because that means that there are plenty more solicitors who do want to work on that basis, who are suited to our consultancy model.
And do your fee earners, do they find their own clients, or do you have a sort of a backroom team that supports in that?
A little bit of both. Most solicitors who come to us, because of the level at which they're at in their career, will have some element of a client following. Even if they don't tip up with an actual client database, they have enough gravitas and they have sufficient place in their chosen field that they will attract clients very, very quickly. So what we do is we work with them to market them and make sure that people know where they are, and then the clients will come to them. But on the flip side, we also do an awful lot of firm-wide marketing, which means we get inbound referrals, which we then share out amongst them.
Right, okay. So that's the farming type of leads where they come to you by reputation, rather than you go hunting for them. That's really interesting. As a business coach, one of my key sort of fundamental principles with my clients is that what they can measure in their business, they can improve. Now, your business model is slightly different to the convention in the fact that you're not directly employing many of your team members. Does that present a challenge for you in terms of setting targets or measuring their performance, or is that not a relevant issue in the business?
No, it's still very relevant, because every single consultant is still its own or their own profit center. So even though we don't measure on hours billed or time sat on your bum at your desk, they still have to be profitable as an individual cost center. But what we do, rather than say you have to do X amount of hours, we agree between us a fee target, but that's your own personal target. So if you want to earn £10,000 a year, a month, you have to bill X amount in order to get that. So they're all paid 70% of their fee income. And we commit them to a financial plan, as you would any other self-employed person. It's a financial deliverable.
That's really interesting, and that's a really important point, because quite a few organizations do contract out. They do have subcontractors, they do have associates, and maybe perhaps don't have as tight a control over what the business is doing as maybe they should. So Lucy, I'm going to end with the predictable question, which is where now for the business? What's your vision going forwards?
At the moment, it's a continued growth plan. It's a relatively organic growth plan. We're quite picky about the consultants that we take on. We're not a pile 'em high, sell them cheap outfit. So at the moment, it's continued and sustained growth to a particular growth target that I think only I know, and then see what happens then.
Okay, well, it's refreshing to see a different take on your industry, and thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. So, Lucy, thank you very much for your time today.
It's been my pleasure, Gavin. Thank you so much.